Hey, what is up everybody, Platform Disciple here, and today we're doing another Deck Tech gameplay video. Before we get into that, I want to say that the ranked ladder has ended for the month. I have received my rewards, and I don't know why it hasn't reset the actual numbers yet, but now you can play with the new cards in ranked, which is a very big deal, and I will definitely be playing more ranked when the numbers reset, but right now I don't think there's any incentive to play ranked. I don't know if it does anything, because my score going up doesn't mean anything now that the rewards have already been given out. But while we're here, real quick, I gotta say, again, and I have said this in the past, rewarding just the top 100 players creates an elitist environment that discourages new players from getting invested into the game, because they will be easily scared away by the fact that only the top 100 players get rewarded, and they're going to think to themselves, that's not me. This game doesn't care about me. In addition, the game runs some tournaments that are not in the client, and that is something else that new players are not interested in. It's something that I'm not interested in, frankly. I would like to see more focus competitively on the actual ranked ladder, better rewards for ranked, and the tournaments are sort of a side thing, or make the tournaments more streamlined somehow. But I don't know if the player base is big enough to actually have an in-client tournament system. But anyways, the other thing I want to say is, not only are we rewarding only the top 100 players, but I didn't even realize this until recently, because this time around I came around 64th because I didn't play very much ranked this month. Like I said, I was on vacation a bit, and I just didn't really care to grind the ladder that much this month. But the players on ranks 25 and up get infinity boarded cards, right? No one else does. The players lower on their ladder don't get anything. You can also get infinity boarded cards by the tournaments, but once again, I think that's ridiculous. The competitive scene should be in the ranked ladder. It's, from my understanding, if you were to do the tournaments, it'd be easier to get infinity boarded cards that way, because there's less players playing in the tournaments, and in addition, the tournaments, you don't have to play nearly as much. You have to play, like, more than anything else, you have to play a lot to get in the top 25. But something that's really, really annoys me is that, so the top 25 players, each up until I think 10 is when the reward gets upgraded, get a rare infinity border card of their choice, and then above that they get rares in addition to some other cards like uncommons, commons, and at the very highest ranks I think you get even a legendary or an epic or something like that. But the irony is that because the top 25 players get a rare, and the only players who get the commons in infinity borders are the tournaments, or maybe the top 10 players, the infinity bordered common cards are ironically more rare than the infinity bordered rare cards. And it seems so intuitive for them to implement into the system that from 26 through 50, players get an infinity bordered uncommon, and then through 51 through 100 players get an infinity bordered common. It seems like so brainlessly makes sense. I mean, like, if I'm getting a rare for being top 25, shouldn't the top 50 get something just slightly worse than a rare? Obviously. But yeah, seriously, the rank system needs an overhaul. It discourages new players, and I think it also discourages even advanced players who don't want to invest the time when they know that they actually have to put in a pretty substantial effort to actually get anything. Admittedly, I think there are so few players that getting top 100 isn't that hard, but getting top 25 or something is extremely, like, elitist. Only the very, very most dedicated players are going to get anything. But anyways, let's talk about the deck that we have, because that's what we really care about, is the game. I talk about all the problems Infinity Wars has, but what we're coming back to is not the stupid ass reward system, but the actual core game itself is very good. So let's talk about our deck and what's fun about this deck and what's cool about this deck. So this is my take on a post-rebellion triple overseers deck, and it's kind of like a tempo. Yeah, it's definitely a tempo deck, maybe like a tempo control deck where we're trying to drop Raziel turn 1, which is so easy. We don't have any other 1-drops. He's our turn 1 play. And then we're trying to keep him alive as long as we can, and then we eventually fall back onto Lilaria or potentially other cards in the deck like Z, or even, this is a weird one, Jubilee as win conditions. So let's hop into it. So Raziel as an uncommon, oh man, what a great commander, what a great card. He can single-handedly win you the game if your opponent can't deal with him. So he's pretty much an auto-include in the command zone in a deck like this. Next up we have Declarius for 2 cost as a 6/6. He's already decent. And then his effect is very powerful, and being able to put him directly onto the battlefield to interfere with your opponent's attacks is very important. It's very good against aggro decks, and it's very good against tempo decks or mid-range decks. So he's a great card. We're actually using 4 of them if you include the 3 in the deck. And then lastly, we've got Lilaria the Rebel, which is going to enable us to trade our worst card in hand to have a chance at them discarding a very crucial card, in addition to it just Lilaria just getting bigger every time we overcharge it. So the actual core of the deck, the cards in it, we've got Marina the Selfless, who I don't know how I feel about her yet. We're gonna leave her in there until I decide whether she's good or not. But one thing that's worth noting is that she's very good at protecting your own characters, and protecting Raziel, Lilaria, or other high priority targets is very nice. Next we have Martyr Golems, which are in there just because they're very good at what they do, which is keeping your characters alive. Next we have Jubilee, which is a weird one, and this is going back to my roots. I don't even know if I was recording videos of Infinity Wars back then, but there was a point in time where Jubilee was like my go-to win condition for a lot of decks, and thinking about it, it's very potent against a lot of decks that if they don't have any flying characters or characters with reach, it can be very hard to deal with Jubilee because she has Untouchable, and unless you have an AoE effect that could kill her, she can get in very easily for a lot of damage. Next we have Luca, which is in there because the majority, if not all of our characters, I think the one exception is Marina, are angels or are artificial if you include our Martyr Golems, and she herself has pretty decent stats, so she's just a good card all around. Next we have Z Ascended, which is kind of a fallback win condition, and she just makes lots of characters for us and we can overrun our opponent. She also works very well with Luca. Then we have Truthkeeper of Solace, which is just another 2-drop for us with a add-on pretty nice effect. Good stats, I like the card a lot. Declarius we already talked about, and we have as many of him as we can because I think he is that good of a card. We want him on the board as much as possible. Next we have Zealous Protector, which is very good against aggressive decks. Can really hurt Flame Dawn a lot, and it's got good stats. It's very bad against non-aggressive decks, but it's so good in the matchups where it is relevant that I like to have it in the deck. Cassium is basically another Martyr Golem-esque effect, so we've got quite a few things that we're using to try to keep Raziel and Lilaria alive. Next we've got 2 kind of situational cards. We've got Tyra, which she's very potent against control decks. She can do a lot of free damage. And then we've got Azael, which is the ultimate anti-aggro card. So both of these are situational, and we've got the sideboard over here. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we do have an extra Tyra and an extra Azael, which we're going to side in or out depending on the matchup. Okay, rest of the deck, we've got 3 counterspells, and we have 1 Declarius's Edict, which I just want as much of this effect as possible, basically. And I don't, let me take that back. I don't want as much of this effect as possible, which is why I'm not running 3 Declarius's Edict. But I want a lot of the effect. And running 4 of the same effect, I think, is worth it. Then we've got Strength of Leadership, which works very well with Raziel and Lilaria. We're only using 2 though, because it's very, very bad card when we run into the situation where we don't have any more champions, because these 2 characters in our command zone are actually our only champions in the deck. Next we have Evict, which is super good when you're trying to get rid of a blocker or an aggressive attacker. It means that they're gonna have to play a very, very overcosted card if they want to reuse the character that you just got rid of. So, and sometimes they're just not going to play it again, which is great. Then we've got Heavenly Wish, which we have because it's so versatile. Most of the time we're going to be removing a character from the game, but gaining 15 life or giving an extra life to Raziel or Lilaria can be very effective. We can also even give an extra life to Martyr Golem, which is a pretty big deal. And then lastly, we have Mysterious Box of Wonder, which is just an all-around good utility card. Mysterious Box of Wonder is very effective in situations where you want to get rid of a potentially dangerous character. And once the game loads, I will be talking to you guys again. Okay, so here we are again. My game, interestingly enough, crashed in the same way it did last time. It said resolution change or something and crashed. I don't know what the deal with that is. Hopefully they fix that soon, and also hopefully it's not a problem on my end. But we've got a pretty typical looking hand for us, and we're against a triple Genesis deck, and triple Genesis decks are super, super, super strong right now. But the good news is that triple Genesis has very little in the ways of actually effective removal. And we're going to go ahead and put Declarius in the defense zone because no matter how they organize their guys, they won't be able to kill Declarius. So as you can see, the Splitter Light is not going to attack, and then we kill the little Timmy bot, which is very much in our favor, and we can leave Declarius there again because he's not going to die. I don't think I want to play Counterspell. One of the bad things is that Genesis doesn't have very much worth countering. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a better opportunity, though, is the kind of thing. Because, like, he could be using Upgrade, he could be using Tinker, and he could be using Gorgon Beam, potentially. But, I don't know. So we're actually just going to do something very, very questionable, which is we're gonna shuffle away, I think, Heavenly Wish. Okay, and we got Marina, which is nice. And as you can see, playing the Counterspell would have been bad that turn. And also, as you can see, once again, Splitter Light is not able to attack. And this turn, he is definitely going to play his Splitter Robot to try to get rid of Declarius. So we're actually going to evict it, which is going to put it into his hand, making it cost 3 more. And we're not going to see it ever again. So this is the kind of situation that you want to be in this deck, where he feels like nothing he can do is going to prevent us from just the relentless march. Now, this would be the turn where we would Gorgon Beam, or we would get Gorgon Beamed. So I could play Counterspell. I could play Counterspell. Instead, we're going to play Truthkeeper, which is going to let us know if he does have a Gorgon Beam. And we're going to play... I think we're going to play Cassiel. Okay. And there's the Gorgon Beam, like I said. So this... Man, this is a I mean, of course, snowbally games aren't fun necessarily, but I think this game is perfectly showcasing how well this deck does when it's doing what you want it to do. And we're going to play Counterspell this turn because he's probably going to play Temporal Anomaly. So, and that's game over. So he knows full well that he can't win from this uphill battle. And we might just play another game because that was pretty short. All right, and here is our second game with this deck. Looks like we're playing against either a very new player or a player who has a very different understanding of what a reasonable command zone looks like than I do. I mean, admittedly, none of these cards are that bad, but this command zone tells us nothing about the strategy that he's using, which you might be thinking, oh, well, that's a good thing for him, but what it really, I think, means is that his deck might just be like a good stuff deck that doesn't have a really core strategy. And we're going to go ahead and play Truthkeeper because we want to be able to see what the heck is going on with his deck. We want to see if he has the turn 3 Death Ray. So he doesn't have the turn 3 Death Ray, but he doesn't need it. And yeah, this is a very weird deck. This is not your typical deck. And we're gonna just go in the Assault Zone with Truthkeeper. We're gonna play a Mysterious Box, and we're gonna play a Declarius. And right now, I don't think we have to worry about any of the cards in his hand. And in case you guys were wondering, like, why don't you just mouse over it and show oh, and it worked. Sometimes it works, but anyways, sometimes it doesn't work, and I don't know why I'm able to look at Kidnapper. Why don't we try something? We're gonna unhighlight, move to card. Okay, so Kidnapper we can click on, Hellmouth we can click on. I'm sorry for wasting the time of my opponent and potentially you, the viewer, but it's something that I really wanted to figure out what the heck is going on. And we're gonna toss our Declarius. I think he's the least relevant card in this matchup because they're not gonna be applying nearly as much pressure as us. Oh, they killed our Declarius, so joke's on us. We don't have a second one anymore. And he discarded Hellmouth. We're gonna pull back on our Truthkeeper in case he plays Diseased Brute. And we are going to play... I might play Z, but I also want to keep the resources around to play Jubilee. So I think we're gonna play Luca, and we're gonna toss away. He might kidnap this, which we can actually Mysterious Box it, so that's fine. But yeah, we're not gonna overcharge this turn because he might play Kidnapper this turn, and we don't want to pitch a card and not get the actual effect. If that makes any sense. That makes a lot of sense, or it should. It's really too bad that we don't have Declarius anymore, though, because Rederia gets hard countered by Declarius, because Declarius is going to prevent her from attacking. So he did not play the Kidnapper, so we actually missed out just a little bit there. Just too bad. I think we're going to play Jubilee, and we're gonna overcharge Azael because that card is definitely not gonna matter this match. And I mean, he might kidnap again, but it's worth the risk, I think. Especially given how low value the card Azael is for us right now. Looks like he did not do it. Blood arrowed our Luca. He discarded Annihilation. No, that's not Annihilation. That's Desolation. And we're gonna roam free now because Jubilee is untargetable, and he has to play Kidnapper this turn. What is he doing? Play it and let me Mysterious Box it. I don't want to play this game with you anymore, man. I want you to play the Kidnapper. There's the Kidnapper, finally. And that's why we didn't overcharge that turn. And now we can box it. This is part of the reason why Mysterious Box is so good, is that it resets any particular card. Like, we could use it to bring the stats on Varroa Death Worshipper back to 2/2. We can use it to turn Varroa Kidnapper into a vanilla 4/5 that doesn't get rid of any of our guys. Very, very good stuff. And we're going to use that effect once to get our 6/6 token, and we're going to use Counterspell this turn because he's got 4 cards in hand. He is double Varroa, and Z is a very high priority target that he might try to use a card on. We're leaving these back because I don't want them to get diseased by Diseased Brute. Diseased Brute, even though I was knocking on this guy for his command zone, it's so good against certain decks. Now this is interesting. He's going full on the offensive. So we did counter the Word of Command, which he was going to use to try to kill our Z Ascended. So let's see what we could do this turn. So we've got a lot of flying damage. We're gonna put our Truthkeeper here. We're gonna reset his Kidnapper. We're gonna evict his Diseased Brute, and we're gonna play Luca. I think that's the game plan. And we're gonna overcharge our Jubilee. If he plays Mass Death this turn, we're completely boned, but he just kind of telegraphed to us that he's not gonna play Mass Death by moving all of his relevant characters into the Assault Zone. And if he plays Mass Death this turn, he doesn't have much to work with either. So we'll be in a very similar situation to what he's in. So I'm okay with this setup. I mean, I don't want Mass Death to happen, but we have to go big or go home, right? Okay, so he is defending. Ooh, sniped, but our guy got bigger because we had priority and Luca's effect triggered first. And that is lethal damage. So I think we showcased the deck pretty well today. We definitely showed its strengths for that's for sure. I don't know if we really showed the weaknesses of the deck. It's definitely a good deck. I don't know how good it is. Like I think that if we were to talk about weaknesses, where does the deck fall short? I think that 2 decks that we have to care about a lot are the Tinker combo deck, good old friend of ours, the one that we hate so much. This deck can out-tempo it potentially. It's kind of a skill matchup. If the player using the Overseer's deck places a good counterspell somewhere, there is some hope, but these Aether Acolytes get so big so quick. It's very hard to deal with. And I would have said the old mill deck that we talked about the other day would have been good against it, but now Fear is no longer legal in the deck, so I don't know how effective this deck is against it, especially since Counterspell can hit something like Spontaneous Combustion, and we do have the Martyr Golems, and we do have the Cassiel, a lot of cards that are going to really make Tibat a lot less effective. So anyways, that was the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.